authorities are still working to identify the virus behind a pneumonia outbreak in the central city of Wuhan.
What we were able to accomplish in November of 2020 was something that Broadway wasn't doing, the Rockettes weren't doing, ballet companies weren't doing. In a year where ballet companies were running reruns of their Nutcrackers from 2018, we created something new. We created something with dancers in that moment who were living through COVID, who were navigating through isolation and quarantine, and we were able to produce something that was of that time. When you watch it through the lens of knowing what those dancers were doing in COVID, you're able to be astonished that this production was even made.
Hello creatives, do you remember 2020? I know, it was a crazy year for me. It was actually a really hard year for me as an event filmmaker, and I'm sure it was a tough year for you as well. There was not much going on in 2020. In fact, here's a video I've been wanting to do for a while. It's about one of the only projects I took on in 2020 because, like I said, there wasn't much going on. But before I get into that, please take some time to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. That would be great. Now on to the video. So in late 2020, Rachel from Dance Dimensions, a dance company, a dance studio down in Fort Lauderdale, got in touch with me, and that's where the story starts.
You know that saying that necessity is the mother of invention? Well, we found ourselves in a situation last year where we needed to be really creative to solve a problem in order for our children's ballet theater to have a season. And because of the pandemic and because of so many concerns around health and safety, we were unable to have a classical ballet with a full audience. So what we were able to do was try and creatively solve a problem with how the show could go on without an audience.
Hey Michael, this is Rachel from Dance Dimensions in Fort Lauderdale. We had spoken quite a while ago and I wanted to reconnect with you about an upcoming project we have in November. We are interested in filming our ballet production of Cinderella, and it would be without an audience, and we are looking to kind of get an idea of exactly what it would entail so that it could look like a very beautiful takeaway for our dancers. And we would be looking to shoot our production of Cinderella. So I'll shoot you an email now. Thanks so much, Michael. Hope you're doing well. Bye-bye.
That's when I got involved. I had so many questions for Rachel. Everything from the logistics to the pre-production meetings to the post-production process. I knew this was a very unique situation, filming in an empty house. It would allow us to give access to the stage to be really close to the dancers and get some really cinematic shots. But I didn't know the limitations or if we were going to be facing any.
Creating a production in the year of a pandemic was insanely challenging. When it came to rehearsing in studio, not only did we need to remain socially distant and masked and only have X amount of people in the space, but we had to do so in such small chunks that we really weren't able to piece together the whole project until the film shoot. And that amount of organization would not have been possible unless our team was really dedicated and worked hard together. But then there was this extra layer of challenge once we got to the theater, and we needed to prepare for how to make sure each dressing room that typically held 20 dancers could accommodate 6 and how many dressing rooms we could have, and to film in certain waves so that we were able to bang out the shot list without having a dense capacity backstage. So it was really almost like there were 3 productions going on. There was the show on stage, there was the show backstage, and then there was everything it took during the rehearsal process at the studio to happen. And the preparation was tremendous.
I was leaning a lot on the dance studio for direction and planning. We would have weekly Zoom meetings with Rachel and the rest of the dance staff just to make sure we were on the same page. Now, typically when you're filming a dance recital or a ballet, you typically want to set up 1 camera, possibly 2, in the rear of the auditorium, 1 with a wide, 1 with a close-up, get the XLR cable out, send it to the audio board, and get the audio feed in, call it a day. But I knew this wasn't your typical dance recital or ballet for that matter. The house was empty, so that gave us unlimited possibilities. We decided to film the show with 3 Canon C200 Mark IIs. We would set those 2 cameras in the back of the auditorium, one with a wide angle, the other one with a 7200 for close-ups. Your typical dance recital setup. But then we added a 3rd camera on an extended slider in the auditorium seating. This gave us a view that the guests and the audience would normally see if they were attending the show.
Michael was detail-oriented with his notes, and every meeting we had, he was able to come back with more clarity and specificity for how things were going to be done. So when we were preparing for the shoot, he was able to really participate in organizing and giving us insight to what would work best. On the day of the shoot, Michael and his team were amazing. They were there and on it. They were moving through and really participating in executing what we needed to in a super professional manner. He was able to navigate the stage and the dancers, and with a level of comfort and ease that we had no delays, no holdups, and everything was just on it.
To make sure the show ran well and we were all on the same page, after our weekly Zoom meetings, the dance staff created a run of show. Due to the COVID restrictions in the theater, we had limited capacity for dancers that could be backstage at any given time. So the run of show was filmed completely out of order, like a Quentin Tarantino film, and then put back into order in post-production.
Dancers are conditioned to have severe athleticism, so doing multiple takes, one after one, we really primed them for that being possible. And in the cadence of a normal performance, they execute their variation, and then usually there's a moment. However, when we were filming, they need to turn it around and go back to one really fast, and they were able to do that because we rehearsed them in a way that was going to prepare them for the shoot instead of preparing them for a live show.
All the dancers were troopers. Because it was an empty house, we could film multiple takes. This allowed us to get on stage with the glide cam to follow the dancers, creating super cinematic shots.
Being a choreographer for the camera and being a choreographer for the stage are 2 very different things. And you need not only an exceptional choreographer who can choreograph for the camera, but you also need an exceptional videographer who can capture that vision and really show the audience what to see, because it's such a smaller lens than a proscenium on the stage.
During our Zoom meetings with the dance studio, we found out and discussed which dance numbers work really well for multiple takes. And then on the day of the production, we executed that by filming them multiple times, allowing the glide cam to be on stage. These shots were amazing. It's so immersive. It took the video to the next level.
There were definitely some advantages in filming to an empty house. It was great to be able to do multiple takes, especially when you're a dancer. You're so committed to what happens live in that run as you're moving and dancing. So being able to cut and get a second chance was really a benefit for the kids, and it definitely seemed like some of their great dancing happened the second time around because they were more comfortable.
One thing I realized really quickly during the editing process is that not all dance is the same, meaning ballet dancers are not robots. Even though we would film multiple takes of certain dance numbers, not every dance movement was the same. Sometimes the dancer would have their hand up, or it would be down, or their head might be looking in a different direction. It was hard to maintain continuity from the medium shot to the Steadicam shot.
For the dancers in our ballet company, 2020 was a year that was full of disappointment for them on all sides, in their personal lives, everywhere. And not being able to have their families and loved ones in the audience to cheer them on was really hard. I think that a lot of them have this moment as almost the pinnacle of their year. So having the project, being able to put it on film was excellent, but there is that moment where they went on the stage and they weren't able to see the faces that they normally see. And I think that, of course, that is difficult, but they were able to sit and have a premiere and see the whole show all together at the same time, which is never possible if you're on the stage. If you're on the stage, you can't watch it from the audience at the same time. So I think with some hard losses, it did come with some nice wins. We were able to use YouTube in order to premiere it, which was great. We had the time set and a countdown, and families from their homes tuned in. You know, they were able to kind of sit with their bubble of people that they were safe to be around and enjoy popcorn or champagne and have an enjoyable time watching their dancers bring to life a classical ballet that at a time where art wasn't being made and audiences weren't allowed in the theater, we were still able to enjoy that, which was a gift.
It was so cool to see all the Facebook and Instagram posts from the premiere. It made all this hard work worth it.
When I sat down to watch the premiere, there were so many moments that I saw the work that I was right in front of for weeks in a new way. And I saw the children that I was right in front of for weeks in a new way. And there is this moment in Act 3 where we're using a close-up shot and it's traveling camera, and it passes by this dancer and she just looks into the lens and she just smiles. And it's so beautiful because you see her up close in a way that you never could from the audience. And you don't just see her, you see her joy of dancing that close. And it was special, it was special. And I had been in the room with her watching her rehearse that a zillion times, but that moment is on film forever.
Martha Graham, an American modern dancer and choreographer, quoted, "The body says what words cannot. The connection between film and dance is expression. As an event filmmaker, use your camera, use your lens, use those tools to be an expression of your creative vision. Till next time, stay creative."